Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police with Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog breaking the trail in the relentless pursuit of lawbreakers in the wild days of the Yukon. Back to the days of the gold rush as Sergeant Preston with his wonder dog Yukon King meets the challenge of the Yukon. This is the Yukon, the territory patrolled by Sergeant Preston. A vast country of scattered mining camps where the lust for gold many times turned a selfish man into a ruthless miser. Keno Hill was the scene of friction and brawling over property rights when Sergeant Preston arrived to serve a court order at a critical moment.
Break up the fight, King. Go help the lady. Let him up, King. Break it up. Break it up. Oh, what's this all about?
Whoever you are, mister, thanks.
I'm Sergeant Preston.
Oh, of course. How are you, Sergeant? Remember me? Jim Manners, the bad boy of Bannock.
Oh, of course. I might have known. There's usually trouble wherever you are.
Well, don't blame me this time, Sergeant. Oh, this is my brother, Hank. Hank, Sergeant Preston, square shooter.
Sergeant?
All right.
We'll get a fair shake this time, I'll bet you. Oh, this is Nancy, Hank's wife.
Hello.
Well, what's all the trouble?
Oh, Carson's men here are trying to tell us we can't work our own mine.
You happen to be right.
What?
Huh?
Since when?
I'll explain to you later inside. Excuse me. Stay off the Manners claim. The law will handle this dispute, understand? Staying out of mischief, Jim?
Been trying to, Sergeant. But it seems to have a bad habit of following me around.
Old Carson's been threatening to sue us. That why you're here?
When you cut through this legal phrasing, Hank, you'll find it's a court order restraining you from operating your claim till the property ownership has been settled.
Well, that's not fair, Sergeant, and you know it.
This is a legal dispute, Mrs. Manners, and it's up to the court to decide what's right and what isn't.
No, honey, it's not Sergeant Preston's fault. The one to blame is that old miser Carson. Can't stand seeing anyone make a dollar except himself.
I'm better at reading a card hand than a legal document, but does this mean that we've got to wait for a new government survey and the court's decision before we can go back to working our claim?
Yes, it does, Jim.
Well, how long will that take?
Well, the court calendar is full. At least 6 months.
That's crazy. If we can't work, we can't live.
Jim's right. And another thing, we'll have to hire a lawyer. How are we going to pay legal expenses if there's no money coming in?
Don't you see through that old skinflint's trickery? He knows you can't last through the winter without working the claim. This is just a legal dodge to force you to either sell out or get out.
He's got 5 mines and more money than he can spend the rest of his full life. Why does he have to pick on me?
Just chalk it up as another lesson in living, Hank. If you're rich enough, you can pay to have your own laws made to order.
That wasn't called for, Jim.
Yeah, that's right. Now, take it easy, kid.
Sorry, but it's the truth. If you have money, you've got an edge.
Oh, let's have tea. It's wonderful for soothing tempers.
It's a good idea.
Jim?
Hey, Sergeant, if I had a talk with old man Carson, you think it might do any good?
Well, certainly worth a try.
I used to be friendly with young Carson myself. Used to play a lot of poker with him. That was before Hank made me his partner, hard-working man. But maybe if I talked with Jeff, he could persuade his father to leave us alone.
Well, that's a wonderful idea, Jim. And yours too, darling. You know, sometimes if you just talk to people face to face, you can bring out their better nature. Isn't that true, Sergeant?
Sometimes.
All that sounds very fine, Nancy, but you don't really believe it either.
Well, you never lose by trying.
The lady's right. Nobody ever won anything by not trying. Well, I must be on my way. I'm staying in town with Constable York. Let me know how you make out with Carson, will you?
Sure, Sergeant.
Thanks for the tea, man.
Oh, you're welcome. Here.
Come on, King. Quiet.
I never heard of anything so ridiculous.
I should have known you'd feel this way about it.
How else should I feel, Mr. Manners? Our contention is that we own your land. Why should we let you take gold out of it?
You don't own my land and you know it.
I know nothing of the sort. The court has already told you not to work that claim till the case is settled.
Why don't you speak the truth, Carson? Why don't you tell me what you really want?
But, my dear boy, I only want what's mine.
What you really want is to force me to sell cheap.
Of course, I admit that this dispute over ownership does have sort of a certain nuisance value.
How much, Carson? How much?
Tell you what, son. I'll make you a gift of the $1,500 I'd have to pay my lawyers. How about that?
$1,500 for a proven claim?
You'll take that or you'll not get anything.
Oh, you're wrong, Carson. You're wrong. I'm fighting. I'm fighting you with any weapon I can get in hand, legal or illegal.
Are you threatening me?
Call it what you will, but win, lose, or draw, I'll fix you so you'll regret this action till the day you die.
Why, you young scare?
Excuse me, gentlemen. Joe, take a few hands for me, huh?
Well, we missed you, Jimmy boy. Couple of coffees, Mac.
Want to stay?
Mine's my home now, Jeff. Not this cafe. I'm digging gold out of the ground instead of other people's pockets.
Well, that sounds dull and respectable.
It is. And that's the way I aim to keep it, if your father will let us.
What's he done now?
Legal shenanigans. Trying to force my brother and me off our claim. That's a favor I wanted to ask you, Jeff. See if you can talk a little hard end to him.
Me? Well, I'm sorry, Jimmy boy, but you've come to the wrong fellow. He disowned me a month ago.
Disowned? Kicked you out?
Cut me off without a cent. And you think you've got problems? Listen, I'm in debt up to here. And there's no way out.
I'm sorry to hear that, Jeff. I'd stake you if I didn't need the money so badly myself.
It's okay, Jim. Just how desperate are you for money?
It's my brother and his wife I'm thinking about. They took me in when I was pretty low. Just out of prison, not a friend in the world. There's nothing I wouldn't do for them.
Would you rob for them?
I'm straight now, Jeff, all the way.
Yeah, but it's not exactly a robbery I've got in mind, Jim. It's more like getting justice. More like evening the score for both you and me.
Tell it to me straight.
Okay. Now, my father's got a $15,000 gold shipment going out day after tomorrow from the Potato Hill claim. Now, I happen to know this is a fact because I used to schedule these runs before he kicked me out. Now, if I could just find somebody I could trust. Somebody who's got just the right amount of nerve.
It's no use trying to borrow money, Sergeant. Who's going to be fool enough to back me in a fight against old man Carson? He owns the world. My world, anyway.
I don't like to see a man become bitter, Hank. It's only one step from despair. And you're too young a man for that.
Swell. Young enough to go to work in old Carson's mines and help him even get richer.
Well, hello, Jim. Come in.
Hello, Sergeant.
Come here, King. Come on back in here.
Come on. What are you looking so solemn for?
Well, cut the comedy, Jim. Did you see young Carson?
Yep.
Well, he say whether he was going to help us?
Forget about him. His father got tired of his gambling, kicked him out.
You see, Sergeant? Nothing's on my side, nothing.
I don't give up so easily, big brother. You didn't let me finish.
Sure, all right. What other good news do you have?
Well, I ran into an old friend while making the rounds, and I'm going to work.
You got a job? Does he have a job for me?
Now, take it easy. One of us has to stay on the property, and that's you. Leave the breadwinning to little brother.
There you are, Hank. It's always darkest before the dawn. What kind of a job did you get, Jim?
It's with a company up north. I'm dog punching for him. The man told me the name, but it slipped my mind.
Jim, you're going to earn enough to maybe pay for legal fees, huh?
I'll earn plenty. Now, look, Hank, don't worry. Come on, let's go tell Nancy the good news, and we'll get my gear together. You'll excuse us, Sergeant?
Go right ahead. I'm just glad that you're going to be able to afford a lawyer.
All right, Constable. All right. All right, Sergeant, and thanks for everything.
Don't mention it, Hank. Good night. Come here, King. Come on back in here. Come on. Well, Frank, I'd better get some sleep. I have to be at the Potato Hill mine by daybreak. I'm riding guard on that gold shipment for Carson tomorrow. Good night, Sergeant. See you in the morning.
Pull up!
Oh! Easy, King.
Now, just do as we say and nobody will get hurt. You're covered from up there, so don't try a thing.
Does it make any difference to you men if I tell you I'm Sergeant Preston of the Mounted Police?
Makes no difference to me, Monty. Keep him covered.
You better do as they say for the time being.
I'll pull the tarp off the sled and dump the gold beside the trail. Pull it, Monty!
Can I help that man?
Sure. Put him on the sled and get out of here.
On, King!
Bring the team.
Ho! In much pain? Fortunate the wound is high on your shoulder.
Anyway, we tried, Sergeant.
And we'll keep on trying until we catch them. King and I'll take a quick look around as soon as I've made you comfortable.
Thanks.
Here, how's that?
Fine.
Stay, King. It's a little far for a revolver. I believe I hit one of them. We better get our man back to the doctor, King. We'll go after them later. Come on.
After bringing the wounded driver to a doctor, Sergeant Preston made preparations to take up the pursuit of the robbers with his own fast dog team.
Oh, hello, Mr. Carson.
Well, Sergeant, I'm glad to see you're at least going to make a show of going after them.
I don't believe a remark like that's called for, Mr. Carson.
From the reports I hear, you were more interested in taking care of a slightly wounded man than recovering my $15,000 gold shipment.
The man was in pain, and I had no way of knowing how serious his wound was. Moreover, I don't believe I have to account for my activities or methods to you, sir.
Maybe not to me, but you'll do plenty of explaining to headquarters if you'd let those Manners boys get away with this robbery.
Oh, so that's it. You think the Manners boys pulled this robbery, huh?
I'm sure of it.
Well, I'm reasonably sure that one of the two robbers was not one of the Manners boys.
You intend giving those brothers every possible break, don't you, Sergeant?
I intend seeing that justice is done, whether it be to them or anyone else, including you.
That being so, Sergeant, I wonder if you'd mind very much if I went along in this manhunt.
No, as a matter of fact, I'd welcome it.
Thanks. I'll pick up my gear.
Frank, go out to the Manners claim. I'm sure you'll find Hank Manners there. See if you can account for his activities during the last 2 days.
Yes, sir. It's a good idea.
It's worse than we thought, Jim. You shouldn't travel with a wound like that.
We can't stay here, Jeff. We gotta move on.
That's right, Jim. I've got to move on.
You?
Sorry, Jim, but you're still bleeding. You're losing strength. Even if you saw a doctor.
You gonna leave me, Jeff?
What's the good in my staying, Jim? No sense both of us being caught now, is there?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you're right. Just one favor, though, Jeff. Please. Are you listening to me, Jeff?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm listening.
My share of the take. See to it that my brother Hank gets it.
Shut up. I don't want you to talk anymore, do you hear me?
What's the matter with you, Jeff? What's got into you?
No, I'm not going to argue with you anymore, Jim. There's no other way. I can't leave you here for the Mounties to find. You'd confess and involve me.
I wouldn't say anything to him, Jeff. I swear I wouldn't say a word. No, Jeff. No!
I fired on them when they were about here. I believe I hit one of them.
Your dog found something, Sergeant.
Here, King. That's the bandana one of them was wearing. King, get the scent.
Why go through all those motions, Sergeant? It's obvious they continued down the trail.
Yes, I know, but we don't know where they left the trail. King can show us. Oh, King!
Later that day, the pursuit led Preston to an abandoned cabin some 5 miles off the trail.
Carson, come here.
What did I tell you, Sergeant? Certainly there's no more room for doubt. All you have to do now is find the brother and close the case.
Yeah, there's no doubt Jim Manners was one of the robbers. But the other one was not his brother Hank.
Oh, come now, Sergeant.
I'd have recognized his voice. Besides, Hank would never have gone off and left him like that.
Oh, fiddlesticks. When a man's running for his life, he has no time for sentimentality.
I disagree with that. If Hank was involved and was trying to cover up, he'd have taken his brother with him, not left him here as evidence.
Oh, really now? This is too much. If it isn't his brother, who could it possibly be?
That's my job to find out.
Well, very well. Be stubborn. I'll be waiting outside.
Jay.
It's hard to believe, Sergeant. Sure, Jim was wild and reckless, but to rob and get himself killed.
He did it for us, Hank. But he's gone now. Regrets won't bring him back. You must think of yourself now and me.
I'm not worried about myself, honey. I can prove I was with you the whole time.
No, I believe you're telling the truth, Hank. Convincing a court might be a different matter. After all, you did threaten Carson.
Oh, so I was sore. Any other man would have done the same.
By the way, I'd like to establish whether or not this belonged to Jim.
No, that isn't Jim's.
That's right, Sergeant. I did Jim's washing as well as my husband's. Neither of them ever used anything but bandanas.
Where'd you find it?
Under the bunk in the cabin where Jim died. If I can find the man that owns this, Hank, it might put you in the clear. Any idea who it might be?
No, Jim never said who it was who hired him.
Few men around here use monogrammed handkerchiefs. And whose initial is J?
Jeff Carson.
That's right. Jim did go to see him, didn't he?
Sure, that's it, Sergeant. He was angry at his father. He would have known about the gold shipment. And, well, did he look like the other man who was with Jim?
Well, I never met young Carson, so I wouldn't know. Checking on the handkerchief shouldn't be difficult. Any idea where he's living?
Oh, yes. Jim said Jeff was staying at the Empire Hotel.
Well, thanks. Stay here with the constable until I get back, will you?
The mounted police had full authority to enter and search without a warrant. Sergeant Preston used this right only when the situation left no other method.
Find what you're looking for, mister?
Yes, I think I have. You're Jeff Carson, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And I arrest you in the name of the Crown for robbery and murder.
Murder?
Down, King.
I didn't shoot that other man. It was Jim. He talked me into it. I just thought it would be a good way to get back at my old man, but I wouldn't hurt anybody, Sergeant. Well, you know.
Save it for your lawyer, Jeff. You're in a lot of trouble. Turn around.
Great work, Sergeant. I hear you caught that thieving. What's my son doing here?
He's one of the men who stole your gold shipment, Mr. Carson.
I don't understand you, Sergeant.
Jim Manners and your son robbed the gold sled. Hank Manners had nothing to do with it. He didn't leave the claim from the time he saw you till the constable brought him here.
Why?
I needed the money. I've been in debt for a long time. The gamblers threatened to kill me. Look, Dad, I'll make it up to you. I swear I'll never gamble again. I'll pay you back, Dad. I'll work my fingers to the bone.
Oh, stop sniveling. I cut you off thinking it'd make a man of you. I was wrong. What can I do with a boy like this, Sergeant?
It's too late to ask that question now, sir.
Too late.
The law will take care of him now. His crime is worse than robbery. It's murder.
Don't believe it, Dad. I'm not the one who shot the other man. It was Jim.
We're not arresting you for the murder of the other man, Jeff. He's alive and recovering. We're holding you for the murder of Jim Manners.
Dad, please.
Don't say anything more, son. We'll need a lawyer. I'll admit he might have been wild enough to rob me out of spite. But murder, that's going too far. Jim Manners was shot by you as he was trying to escape after the robbery. He died in that cabin where we found him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Carson. Look at this. There's one bullet hole in the parka that Jim Manners was wearing at the time of the robbery. Now look at this. This is the shirt that Jim was wearing when we found him dead in the cabin. It has 2 bullet holes in. One on the shoulder where I hit him, and the second one, the fatal one, near the heart, that he received after the parka had been removed. In other words, after Jeff and Jim got to the cabin. Jeff already admitted he was in the cabin with Jim. The only man with Jim.
Don't shoot! He's unarmed! After him, King! Come on.
Put him down over there. I'm sorry, Mr. Carson.
But I kept urging you on, nagging you to catch the thieves. Now my gold has been recovered, but what a price. My son will be convicted of murder.
And 2 other people have been grossly wronged. What about them?
I'll drop my suit to take over his claim. I'll do anything I can do to make it up. Anything.
Well, you heard, Mr. Carson. I want to thank you both for being so helpful. You may go now. Yes, King. This case is closed.